lot of businesses, when they come to applying persuasion, make a massive mistake and it loses them a ton of money. So they think when they are losing customers, they are losing customers to better products, and they're losing it to better products from their competitors. But actually, if you look into it, they're losing the customers to better psychology from the competitors. So let me explain this a little bit. If you think about Red Bull, the energy drink, you walk into a shop, you go and find an energy drink, you see all these huge colorful cans of energy drinks, right? All different brands. And then you see this tiny slim can, the blue and silver. It's Red Bull, and it's mostly for a premium price, much more expensive than all the other energy drinks, right? On paper, Red Bull should have actually been a complete failure. First, its size, it's tiny. You get way less drink than a normal fizzy drink or soda, but you actually pay more for it, which doesn't make any sense. Second, and this is really interesting, is the taste of Red Bull. When Red Bull first launched, they did market research, and overwhelmingly on the market research, people thought that it tasted awful. They thought that it tasted like flat, basically sweet medicine. Where you have, the cough medicine. They thought it tasted a little bit like that. So you have this expensive, small, bad tasting drink. And by every business rule, you think that this thing basically shouldn't have made it out of market research. It should have got no traction whatsoever. And it should have actually died on the shelf, or before it even reached the shelf in all the main shops, right? But actually, these flaws are not the reason it almost failed. The flaws are the exact reason it became a billion-dollar giant. So it isn't about the drink. This is about how people work and how they focus on things and how they look at things as the best thing they can do. So Red Bull know this. They know human psychology, and they know that they're not just selling you a drink. They're selling you a powerful placebo. A placebo is just when your brain believes something actually works, so you actually feel the effect. So if you think about it, what does your brain expect from something powerful like real medicine? When you taste medicine, you expect some sort of effect. You expect to feel a little bit better. Medicine tastes a little bit weird. It tastes a bit bitter. It comes in this small concentrated dose, and it's not cheap, right? And Red Bull hits all three of these triggers basically perfectly. So the weird medicinal taste, this tells your brain, whoa, this actually isn't just sugary, soda. This is serious. It has active ingredients. That bad taste actually might signal that it's potent. And if you look at the tiny can, the small dose, if it became a giant bottle, you'd think it was cheap junk. But because it's actually small, your brain thinks potency. It thinks this is concentrated power. And if you look at the high price as well, your brain does this simple calculation. If I'm paying this much for this little can, it must work, right? And so the taste, the size, and the price, they all work together to basically create this powerful story in your head. And this is behavioral science. It creates this story, this familiar story that you already have some sort of pre-existing story to. So your brain takes these ingredients, some sugar, some caffeine, and vitamins, and it decides this is a really powerful medicine. And then when you drink it, you feel more energized. And it's not just because of the caffeine, but it's because of the psychology of the product that convinced you it would work, essentially. And it's genius, their marketing strategy. I used to, before I used to go to kickboxing at night, this is before I knew that you shouldn't have caffeine at a late period in the day. I know that's obvious, right? I didn't know that for a little while, but I used to either have like a Red Bull or maybe like a coffee before I went. And I would notice that even though I would have just as much caffeine in the Red Bull as I'd have in the coffee, I'd always feel a lot better when I actually had the Red Bull. I just thought it must be something in it. Now, turns out my brain, the person who works in behavioral science, also gets tricked as well. And it's genius. They don't hide that weirdness of it. They weaponize it. They saw the research and thought to themselves, this tastes like medicine. And so people may respond a bit differently to it. And they built that empire by making their products seem basically a bit more valuable just by using psychology. So that's a little lesson for behavioral science for you today. But Understanding this is huge, and now you know how to use your product's flaws to signal some sort of value. But that, to tell you the truth, is only half the battle. Even if a customer believes your product is powerful, you're going to run into a new problem, and they're still afraid to lose their money if it doesn't work for them. And that's what goes through everyone's mind when it comes to buying a product. Will I waste my money on this? Will I lose my money? And I have a video that breaks down exactly how to solve that problem. It's a specific type of guarantee that basically removes all fear and shifts the risk from them to you. And it's a very persuasive way of actually selling. And it's how I've added an extra 194 grand in revenue to one of my clients as well. So click the video on the screen right now. I'll show you exactly how to do it, and I'll see you over there. Take care.